What's up, my ninjas? This is Strident, and I had a question for you. You ever date a girl who was like super beautiful but difficult with everything? You know, she's fine, and you're just like, oh, well, she's fine, so you kind of give her a pass, even though you know damn well you probably shouldn't. That's how this game feels. Split second. A friend of mine, my boy Scott in his prime, hooked me up with a copy of the game. Um, I've been playing it for the last 3 days, and you know I am pretty good at racing games. My favorite is Burnout, Revenge. I don't like Paradise because it's too stiff. It's trying too hard to be an arcade. I mean, a simulator slash arcade racer when it needs to be an arcade racer like it was set up to be. But anyway, this game kind of does the same thing. Very arcade feel, but the game itself tends to throw in simulation concepts that throw the whole thing off. The premise is simple. You're in a game show where it's like a high stakes game show where you are, you know, a race car driver, combat driver, whatever you want to call it, and you go through these races that have traps rigged all over the place that you activate by gaining points or filling up a meter by doing fairly reckless things, you know, and some somewhat skillful things like drafting, drifting, close calls, trade and paint, the whole nine. Anyway, you fill that up. A prompt will show on the other cars when they're near a trap, and you can press X to set off the singular traps, or if you save up and you fill up your meter, you can press circle and set off the huge traps. A lot of these traps are really cool, and that's where the game really shines, is that the terrain changes based on which traps you set. And the huge ones are more like game changers and change routes and add like serious danger to the overall race structure. Anyway, the issue is not in that. The issue is in, I noticed with all the next gen, and when I say next gen, I mean like this generation of race games, is that instead of trying to fully realize the genre that each game fits in, all these companies try to bite off a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like every game wants to be Gran Turismo, even when it's not clearly Gran fucking Turismo. Every game wants to have the simulation end, so it appeals to those kind of gamers, but it also wants to have arcade ideas. No. You know? Like you want to be Gran Turismo meets Twisted Metal. You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. But there is a basic logic to cars. And it pisses me off when I play a game where the cars always feel like the people who made the game do not drive. There are several cars in the game, and they all bear striking resemblance to real cars. The one pictured up here, the newer Camaro, like Bumblebee. They just changed up some things so they wouldn't get sued and so they wouldn't have to pay money to use the likeness of the vehicle, much like Burnout. The difference, though, is a Camaro is extremely fast on a straightaway, and they handle okay. In this game, Camaro is shit. Same thing with your Mustang. Mustang is a drag racer, pretty much. Straight lines, you got it in the bag if that thing is primed and perfectly, tuned. In this game, no. Freaking trucks. Trucks have ridiculous horsepower, but they're not faster than sport cars. You know what I mean? A Bugatti Veyron could easily smoke a fucking Ford F-150. But in this game, the F-150 wins. It's like, who the fuck are these people, and why don't they pay attention to the way things really work? Also, the programming. I've always hated racing games for the simple fact that when you start to win, and you get good and you get to the higher levels, the computer starts to pull shit out of their ass to show you how insignificant you really are. Games like Need for Speed Most Wanted come to mind. You get to anything above 10 on the above 10 on the blacklist, maybe even above 12. And the cars start making right angle turns. They start taking corners without braking perfectly, not the way that a real skillful driver has to do. I'm talking like they accelerate into the corner. The wheels don't do anything, or tires keep traction on angles that they should fishtail. All kinds of stuff. They run smack dab into a wall and there's no slowdown. They continue going. Shit like that. Whereas you go around the corner with a finely tuned vehicle, if you know what you're doing, and your car slows down and you have to reverse and then you have to get back on the track. Not with this. I've seen cars in Need for Speed when I'm racing and the cops come. They hit a cop car. The cop car turned them around. They continued driving backwards, then sideways when they got clipped on the side, and they continued ahead of me at a faster speed with the car completely sideways on the freaking track, taking up 2 lanes almost. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, how is this possible? I mean, I know it's a game, there's room for mistakes, but come the fuck on. So anyway, back to this game. Every time you get into a good standing, this game will beat your ass and show you that it is the boss and you are not. It will literally pull your pants down and rape you with an Ashy Johnson, for lack of a better word or phrase or whatever. Every time you start to get good, they bring you down, and they really bring you down. I'm talking full Nelson, bend you over, anal rampage. No matter what your lead is, you could have a 5-second lead, which means when you look back, no one's in your rear view. And every time you come up on a trap, someone will set the trap. How they can see the trap, I don't know, but it is the computer, so you know, you're in the matrix and they're the ones in charge. All in all, what is kind of half and half an awesome experience turns into a exercise in frustration, because the computer just can't let you actually be good at the game. Pretty much everything you do, the computer will counter on a regular basis in a very clinical manner, which makes the game less fun than, you know, it should be. Now, I'm starting off with the annoying shit because literally I had just finished playing, and these are the things that were going. I mean, I was so pissed off. My girl came up to watch me play, and then I was so pissed off that she was just like, yeah, okay, I'll talk to you later, and I'll talk to you, after you finish playing this. And then I'm like, okay, you want to play? She's like, nah, I don't want to play. The game is just stupid hard. There's no difficulty setting, so if you have no idea what you're doing, like many people that, you know, are new to games, at least this generation, you just have to play it and get your ass whooped. Now, I'm complaining, but I've come in first on just about every race except for maybe 3 of them so far, and I'm on like the 4th season or 4th episode or whatever. It's just one of those games where, like, they have a way of doing things that's their own, and you have to get your mind into their way of doing things, or else you really just can't enjoy the game. The good side, though, is the shit that they make you do in here is insane. And when you have a good run, it's usually a really good run. I'm talking like when you take your turns the right way, you're fishtailing around corners and, you know, getting your car evened out immediately enough just to pick up enough speed to stay in front and maintain your lead. I'm talking you blow up a route and reveal a new route, and then you're freaking jumping off of buildings, clearing ocean while jumping from aircraft carrier to building. You're dodging helicopters and cars and missiles, and there's this one survival mode where a truck, it's like a ginormous 18-wheeler that's shooting these barrels with explosives at you, and the idea is to survive. And it's pretty awesome shit. It's just that if you could handle the way your cars handle in Burnout, it'd be even more awesome, because you would have more freedom and more control over what your car does. In this game, you don't feel like your cars, like you have as much control over a car as you should if you're a professional racer. But anyway, still, the situations that you're put in this game are some of the most amazing non-car combat game situations I've ever played. I mean, up until now, you usually only get shot at when your car can shoot. But in this, there's survival modes where a helicopter's shooting missiles at you and you have to dodge them. And that has some annoying shit to it also because of the collision detection on that. And it's funny because like every time I give it a good thing, I gotta take away something because there's stupid shit that happens. The airstrike mode. Airstrike mode is pretty much you on one of the stages that you've already raced on versus a helicopter. The helicopter will lock on to key points on the road ahead of you as you drive, and they will blink blue, green, and then red. When they turn red, it's staying that way, and that's where the missiles are going to fall. Your job is to swerve in between all these, these little markers. Now, it goes from, ridiculously easy so that you understand what you have to do, to like moderately hard, to just fucking ignorant. I'm talking like 4 rows of 4 filling up a skinny 2-lane road where there's literally no way you could get in between that shit. Your cars can't jump. You can't just stop. There's like no way to deal with it. I've tried to stop and somehow you still get hit by stuff, or it'll just turn around and put more things around you. It's all kinds of weird shit. There's sometimes where they line them up in a way that they're close enough that there is a little hole for you to dip through, but if you dip through, the blowback from both sides will just fuck you up. And honestly, that's not good design. At times it's just like, what the fuck? Like, really? People paid money for this game. The least you could do is test it to make sure that things work better. So, like I said, for every good thing that's in this game, there's a couple bad things that hold it back from being amazing. Now, the game is, from what I've played, and I only played a little bit, it's a billion times better than Blur. I remember I was equally as amazed with both games when I saw the trailers. I was like, damn, these look cool, I want to play both of them. But as the time went by, and the release dates got closer, I was more excited about Split Second because it felt like it had that same vibe that Burnout has. To my surprise, I was a little bit, I'm kind of right, but I'm a little wrong. Split Second is its own thing, and I think the reason why I'm having so many problems with it is because of the similarities it bears to Burnout. If you go into this with no expectations, you'll probably be blown away. You'll be frustrated, but you'll be blown away completely. But if you go into this having played lots of other racing games, and trust me, I've played everything. I'm talking like from Atari's F1 Formula 1 Grand Prix, whatever, all the way to like Wipeout, to like Twisted Metal, to Critical Depth, to freaking Ridge Racer, to Daytona USA. I don't know if I already said that. I've played all of them. Gran Turismo, everything, as much as I could play, because I've always wanted to play games that have car chases that are interesting. There was a game on the PS1 called Ray Tracers. It was a car combat game, but you ram things. It was like Chase HQ on steroids. That was an awesome game. Difficult to get into, but you had to figure out how things work. Freaking Road Blasters back in the day. So I'm not a stranger to racing games, and that's why I have problems with this one. So I would say this game gets a rent, possibly. Maybe, nah, that's probably being a little bit too harsh. I won't say a rent. I'll say wait until you can buy it for cheap. So don't buy it. I mean, it's been out for a while, so it's going to be cheap. But don't pay full price for it. Anyway, that's all I got to say about this. I just figured I would throw in a quick review because it's been a while since I've done one. So, yeah. Alright, guys. I will talk to you later. Peace outside, people.